Drew Brees is fucked, and you want to know the only thing that I think that could save his career? Because me personally, I think he should retire right now. But if he wanted to mount a comeback, because there's two apologies and one diss to the president, fell on flat ears. I didn't even listen to the second apology, nor did I read his response to the president. The thing that can save Drew Brees' career, and I'm gonna tweet this out. Drew Brees, if you want to save your career and prove that you really had a change of heart, sit down and have a one-on-one conversation. No scripts, no lawyers, no publicists. Just two men with different point of views talking straight to one another. And you want to know who that person is? That person you should be talking to, rather listening to? It's Colin Kaepernick. That's the only way you can save your career. Sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with Colin Kaepernick about Black Lives Matter. Welcome to another episode of the Identity Booth. Hey, how you doing? It's a pleasure to see you guys again. You look so good, you look so healthy for someone who's been stuck in the house in quarantine and going through the end of the apocalypse or the end of the world. Or if your target hasn't been hit, lucky you. But we are in the end times right now, so I'm going to be here to kind of give you guys the spiel from my perspective on the NFL right now. There's a lot of things that are going on in the NFL, and let me start off by saying a few things about this. One, like, share, subscribe, do the whole legality thing. Hit the button because that matters now. The bell. Help me beat the algorithm. Make sure you get notifications. Hit the bell. First, fuck Drew Brees. Second, fuck Roger Goodell. And then 3, am I watching the NFL? No, not right now. But there's a lot of things that have changed all of a sudden, that have really shifted the paradigm of this conversation. Because I distinctly remember about 2 to 3 years ago, this was a no deal type conversation. They removed multiple people from the league, people we knew of, and then people who silently protest. And if there was ever a description of a picture of a person who defines, if I didn't try to tell you guys before, if there was ever a picture of that person, it is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is the literal rebuttal I have. I just type his name out whenever someone says maybe they should try protesting peacefully. Hey, I don't even get to say go fuck yourself anymore. I have to be like Colin Kaepernick. What happened to Colin Kaepernick? Well, that's a different story. He was and then I just reached across the aisle and slapped him. Because don't let people hijack the narrative. Don't let people strawman you. Don't let people gaslight you. Colin Kaepernick has been more than clear. I've been more than clear. Everyone who knows what the hell his protest was all about has been clear. Even the Army, veteran, military, special force people know what it's about. Anyone who doesn't know what Colin Kaepernick was protesting, their target hasn't been burnt down, and we need to add that to the list. Drew Brees is one of those white people who don't have black friends. Let me explain. When I've definitely told this story on the podcast before. When I played in the NFL, I had a person who I thought was my friend. Hung out, kicked it. It was great. He was a real cool dude. He was a second year, third year, so he showed me the ropes. I always respected him for that. But there was always something off about him. He always seemed a little bit too inviting of my time and my space. He always felt like I owed him this conversation. And you could tell by the way his little microaggressions. He never really asked me how my day was going. He always just assumed it was great because his day was great. He never really asked me how am I handling, coming up in the NFL. He just assumed it was great because that's the world he lived in. Everyone around him was designed to make sure his life was great. And he had a bad day one day, and he was sitting outside kind of sulking, and he was just like, yeah, I had a rough day today, man. I'm not going to kick it with you today because normally we would play video games after. But he decided not to. He said he was going to go. His best friend was coming to pick him up, and they were going to go home. And I was like, damn. All right, man, you know, it's cool. It's whatever. And his homeboy gets there. He gets out of the car. He hugs him. Puts his hand on his head and, you know, pats him on the back and says, you know, it's cool, man. It's cool. We're going to fix this. And he seemed like an older gentleman, but, you know, I didn't really pay any attention to it. But then I watched him, you know, pick up his bags, put it in the trunk, open the door for him, and let him in and close it behind him. And if you haven't figured it out by now, this man was black. This man was also his driver. And the thing that is baffling to me about this story is not that this happened, because if he's an paid employee, that's what he's supposed to do. But this paid employee is in on the joke, because he gave me the head nod like, yeah, that's how shit be, but it pays the bill. This guy is his best friend, and that's kind of sad because he pays his best friend to be there for him, when in reality, that's just his fucking job. And that is Drew Brees in a nutshell. Drew Brees has bought some of the most expensive equipment for his offensive line, for his offensive coordinator, for his players in the locker room, his skill team, which are mostly black. He buys them stuff, but this stuff doesn't equate to being an ally. Drew Brees is not one of those. Drew Brees donates and does commercials for this church and Christian organization that has openly and actively worked to shut down clinics in the Louisiana area, which is predominantly surrounded in black communities. Drew Brees is not an ally of black people. He's just okay with them being around. And if you're going to be around, you got to play by his rules. The degree of I own shit in his voice. My two grandfathers fought for that flag. Shut the fuck up. You know how many black people went into World War II and didn't get a hero's welcome back? Who got beaten and battered for wearing the uniform. They went and put blood of another countryman onto their chest, came back to show their stripes, and got nothing. The privilege. Drew Brees doesn't have any black friends. And that's crazy because he plays on an NFL team in a predominantly, where black people predominantly stand. Zero awareness, zero conscience. You can tell he's never had this conversation. He refuses to ruin the idea that he's wrong. He can't entertain it. But you know what? The NFL is actually being run by a few new kids on the block. That commercial that came out with all these athletes in support of the protest screams magnitudes, because if all the faces you saw, there was one that stuck out, and it was my boy from Lubbock, Texas, the Super Bowl winning champion, the quarterback. Oh wait, have I forgotten his name? Oh, I didn't watch it. Holmes? Yeah, Mahomes. Yeah. He won. He's the face of the NFL right now. And he's a black kid. And when he was in that commercial, you got a choice, Mr. Goodell. You gonna shun your Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback? Fuck no. That's a lot of money. You had to change gears. But I am not satisfied, so fuck you, Goodell. Bring back Colin. Bring If you could bring him back as a fucking water boy, bring him back. Get him on the board of diversity and inclusions for the NFL. Make him part of it. He needs to play a role in the coming back of the NFL. That's the only thing. Am I watching the NFL? Fuck no. Am I supporting it? Fuck no. Will I? Fuck no. What's going to take for me to come back to the NFL? Colin Kaepernick has to have his name on something. Colin Kaepernick needs to have a formal apology given to him. How? How is this a thing? I'll tell you how. Blatant ignorance and a unloyal, untrustworthy relationship between owners and players. That's how this happens. It should bother you that Khan from the Jaguars, the only person of color who's an owner in the NFL, is donating to Trump, Jacksonville. Robert Kraft, Mr. Get a hand job at a massage parlor, donating money. Jerry Jones, donating money to Trump. The narrative continues. And Drew Brees, you know, I already told you. I'm going to be your first black friend. I'm going to tweet that shit at you, man. I'm going to tweet that shit at you. Cap needs something. The NFL needs to formally apologize. They are wrong. Everybody who said his protest was this and that, they were wrong. You can't fight it. You can't deny it anymore. This protest is about why targets are burning down. This protest is about why rioting and looting is going on. This protest is about George Floyd, Sandra Bland, Tatiana, Tamir Rice, Ahmaud Arbery. That's what this protest is about. That's what his kneeling was about. And it took y'all 3 years to hear that shit out. 3 years and a few targets burning down. But y'all got the message loud and clear. Your words mean nothing. Your donations mean nothing. Make change. The NFL has to fundamentally change. So, what happens? What will it take? Is this like, you know, the thing that kind of like pushed this on me is because you're now seeing some kids who go to these big PWIs. Because if we're calling out, you know, the NFL, let's call out the colleges as well. Where the fuck is Nick Saban? What's the name of the Clemson head coach? Where's Kirby at? Georgia's coach. Where are all these head coaches making $7.23 million off of these black athletes who don't get paid nothing? I don't see none of them talking about this shit. Alabama is so focused on playing football, they got players catching the coronavirus just so they can practice. Me personally, the football season and all that shit is dead. Because guess what? The coronavirus is going to be coming back when? In the football season. This shit is dead. The NBA is trying to come back. No fans in this. It's not feasible to think that this is something that we should be focused on. But moreover, Nick said, like, what does Nick say? And somebody tried to come for me in my comment section. Well, what about Michael Jordan? He has said, hey, he's the fucking GOAT. 1, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But 2, he's a fucking GOAT. And he's already made a comment about it and $10 million to back it up. Go fuck yourself. Don't come for Jordan. He had a 10-part miniseries on ESPN when there was nothing going on. You ungrateful sports fans should be licking the forces and the sixes off of his fucking shoes. Nick Saban needs to say something about these protests. How much of a political ring do you have to play? Like, Greg Popovich is my favorite coach of all time. Phil Jackson, go eat your fucking heart out. because he's pure. He's not even pure. He's not even pure to the extent that like I think he's a good person, because I think he's generally like he wouldn't be a pleasant person to hang out with. He strikes me as a coach that I would love to play for. If I did something wrong, it would hurt me. Because it's not a look of disdain for you or your skill set or lack of belief. It's you physically let him down. And you don't let Pop down, man. His words mean something. And it baffles me that there's this guy who is with a heart of coal, you would assume, based on the way he treats the media. But there's a reason why the media doesn't attack him. There's a reason, well, if they do, it's like, it doesn't faze him. It's because he's genuinely a good person who has a heart of gold. He speaks about this, but it's just like, shouldn't someone like of Nick Saban's caliber have something to say about this? And maybe he has said something about this, and I just haven't Googled it. But why? I feel like it should be on the front cover of something. And that led me to a conversation that I had online. There's this kid. I don't know who he is. He plays basketball, but his picture's been up, and he was thinking about going to an HBCU. His mom went to an HBCU, Hampton. He's getting all these offers from these PWIs. You gotta rep your set. I made it. I'm trash. I had a few blessed genes, a motor that didn't stop, but I made it. Got the ring on my first try. Suffocate the fuck out of these PWIs. The Pine Bluff, I remember LSU reaching out to me. I remember NIU reaching out to me. Oklahoma, Virginia, Texas. Oh, you're from a small school up north. We can give you a partial scholarship for 1 year, renewable. And maybe by your junior year, we can think about getting you, a half scholarship if you compete well enough. When I went to the college senior bowl, I knew I didn't even want to play. I had one fucking goal: to prove that I was better than any player that they picked over me. And I did that. These schools need us more than we need them. 2 + 2 is 4, no matter who teaches it to you. Go get your degree from a black college. Go bring some money into your people's pockets, man. Ladies, we don't need to go to these schools. In fact, they didn't want us at their schools. When you think about the reason why HBCUs are here, it's very telling why we need them more than ever now. If my kids want to go to college, I will openly pay for their college tuition in full if they go to a HBCU. If they go to a PWI, they got to pay on their own. Go to HBCU, I'll pay for it. I cannot get back the experiences that I got while I was attending UAPB. The friends I made there are my friends now. The girls I fell in love with there are the girls I'm still in love with now. It doesn't change. I went there 10 years after I left. No one knew me, but I felt right at home. Everybody just wants to see you happy there. Pine Bluff, Arkansas was probably one of the most dangerous places when I was there. The bluff where it's rough, baby. But I felt safer there than I do in a hospital that I'm employed at. And that's saying something. That's saying something. The NFL, all these universities, all this shit has to change. There's no way in hell things must change. I commend every NFL player who sent Drew Brees a direct, non-direct, indirect message. I appreciate that commercial. with some of the most profound black athletes we have right now. I appreciate LeBron motherfucking James for reaching across the sports aisle. Hey, watch yourself, man. But more importantly than anything, Drew Brees, you need some black friends. And I'm not talking about, black people that you invite to your house only to come see your nice shit. No, you need to go, walk around the hood and embrace some culture. You need to spend a day or two at some of your homeboys, at some of your players' old stomping grounds. You need to find out how difficult it is being not you. And maybe then, or after a conversation with Colin Kaepernick, maybe then you can start figuring out when's the appropriate time for you to ask for forgiveness or make comments about things you don't understand. Because as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, outside looking in, you don't look too comfortable in the pocket that you formed. And the walls are closing in on you. And unfortunately for you, ain't no check down players in this game, bro. You on your own. 4th and 1. Let's see what you got. But for what it's worth, y'all take care of yourselves. Like, share, subscribe. I lost my other camera. Doesn't matter. It's the end of the video. Hit the bell. Let's beat the YouTube algorithm. Tell me what you guys think. Is the 3 apologies and taking a jab at Trump enough for you? Or do you think that first idea is what it takes? I want to really see Colin Kaepernick sit down and talk with Drew Brees, or some of these young athletes take the opportunity provided to them by these smaller, lesser-known HBCUs. Come to the yard, baby. It's homecoming. We always show out for homecoming.